David Coulombe. I am the media specialist at CIHR. It's a great pleasure to be here. When Andrew sent me a note asking for this, it's with no hesitation that I accepted to do this presentation, and I hope you guys will enjoy this deck. It's about 30 minutes long, and of course, the important stuff is at the end. It's the Q&A section. So I invite you to take note during the presentation. Just take your questions down, and we'll be able to have a great discussions afterwards. S'il y a des francophones dans la salle, je dois vous dire qu'en tant qu'employé du gouvernement fédéral en communication, je suis tenu au bilinguisme, mais il me fera grand plaisir de répondre à vos questions en français. La présentation est en anglais, mais si par la suite vous voulez me poser des questions en français, ça va me faire un grand plaisir de répondre à vos questions. So here's the agenda that we have today. So we're going to talk about the goal of the session today. The goal, of course, is to talk about communication, to talk about media relation. We're going to look at the media today, looking at the landscape, how it's changed throughout the year, how to handle yourself when you're doing an interview. And you'll see that there's different techniques, different things you should do, maybe some things you should avoid. And of course, like I just said, the Q&A at the end of the session. So the goal of today's session, explaining why talking to the media is important. And I'll really be specific about this, and I'll try to demonstrate throughout the presentation the importance of talking about research throughout the media. You know, I've been doing this kind of presentation for close to 10 years now since I was at CIHR. And I can say one thing, you know, the pandemic that we're experiencing right now, there's not a lot of positive about the pandemic. If there's one thing though, it's people are talking about health, people are talking about research. And that for us is positive, talking about research. So that's why talking to you, the media is important, because it makes you talk about the research, it makes the media talk about the research, and it makes the general public, the Canadians, listening to this, understanding and knowing about science, about health, and our government also. Also, the other goal, understanding how the media operates. You'll see that the media different way of operating, depending if it's radio, TV, print, or even social media. How to conduct yourself when you're talking to a reporter. There are some things that you should be very careful about when you talk to a reporter. And also explaining how the communications team at CIHR and anywhere, you know, there's communications team all over the place in universities and hospitals, how these people can help you communicate your message, your great message. Everything starts from you guys. You know, it's your research. You guys are the expert. You're the expert in science, in research, and there's a communication expert that can help you. Briefly about myself, because this session is not about me. This session is for you, but just so you know who you have in front of you. So I've been in communications for now over 31 years. I was a reporter for 15 years in Montreal and Ottawa, en français, as you can judge by my accent, radio reporter I was. I've been at CIHR as the lead for media relation for over 11 years right now. Prior to that, I was press secretary for the mayor of Gatineau for 2 years. I was head of the communications department for the city of Hull for 8 years. I teach journalism for 13 years at La Cité Collégiale. It's a college here in Ottawa. And I also teach public speaking in both French and English at St. Paul University for 14 years. And I am still also a senior professional trainer in media relation, crisis communication, and in public speaking with a firm here in Ottawa. So we have different contracts. This is all aside from my CIHR, of course, permanent job. So, you know, communication shops all across Canada in different universities, hospital, CIHR, you also have SSHRC, MSERC, CFI, they all have communication shop. So we want to see ourselves as one-stop shop for the media. We want the media to communicate with us directly. Why is that? Well, we want to have a certain control of who's asking what to who and who's reporting on what. And for us, it's important to have this kind of monitoring. Our job is to help researchers, help you guys promote your work through the media. And like I said, it all starts from you guys. You guys have all in French we say la matière première. You have, the research, you have the knowledge of the research. Our role is to help you promote this. And we have different vehicles, like you will see shortly, to promote this. And organizing interviews with researchers, so putting you in touch with researchers when we feel that this is the best thing what we should do. Like I said, it's all starts with your success, to raise public awareness, to raise government support, and at the end of the day, new funding. Isn't that beautiful? Who doesn't want new funding? Yeah, that's it. Everybody wants new funding. Well, let's make sure that government sees what you guys do. Let's make sure that they realize, they acknowledge the impact that your research has on Canadian. And let's do that through the media, through different communication channels. The more people hear about your research, the more they become interested. And I've never seen as many Canadians being interested in the research that we did around COVID. Of course, it touches them directly. Yeah. And before COVID, well, at CIHR, we fund 13 institute, okay? We have 13 institute. We fund over 7,000 researchers. Well, let's say we take HIV. Well, people who live with HIV, people who have relatives that have HIV, they're going to be interested when we publish stuff on HIV. Yeah. So that's why we need to hear from you. So what are the roles? What can communications team do? Well, the first thing they can do is set up media interviews, like I said, promote your research through social media, raise awareness with partners or parliamentarians, help organize events, and identify our other outreach activities. But for that, we need to hear from you. We need to hear about your research. You need to flag these things to us. Send us emails. Make sure that communications is aware of what you're doing. It happens sometimes. I have researchers reaching out to me, and they think that this is the big thing and it is the big thing for you guys when you do research and you work hard and for you, this is the biggest research there is. But for us, our role is to assess the appetite for media. And sometimes, as excited as a researcher can be, we in comms will not see the same kind of appetite, but we will see maybe appetite for not the media, but for the research community, or for, we have other ways to communicate your research. And the opposite, happens also. Sometimes I do some reading, and I read some stuff about a research, and I contact the researcher. I say, hey, how come you didn't get in touch with us? This is fabulous. Oh, I did not know that this could be interesting for the media. Of course it is. It's amazing. So my word is, don't make that choice. Let us make that the choice. Send it to us. Let's have a discussion, but make us aware of what you're doing, and then we'll try to guide you in the best way we can. What are the tools? What are the vehicles that we have to promote stuff? Well, at CIHR, I'll talk about our experience. The best thing we have is what we call media pitches. Here's a media pitch. So simple, to the point. It's not a press release. It's not it's not a blurb. It's a media pitch. Catchy title, short and sweet, to the point. You see, 2 paragraphs, bang, 2 researcher, contact me, media relation, and we'll set up an interview. And you should, this kind of pitch, we issue it twice a year, of course, because we change time twice a year. Every time I get between 15 and 20 interviews on this topic with reporters across Canada. Because I reach out we find researchers who are interested to talk about this, and we issue it We have a service with Cision where we can use, and we send this all across Canada in different newsroom. And we also have a service with Newswise where we send this internationally, all across the US and parts of Europe. We reach out to those and we receive. I booked an interview the other day. I don't want to brag, but I booked an interview with the New York Post the other day with one of our scientific director, Kara Tannenbaum. So it happens. So that's why I say reach out to us. We'll be there to help you. Media pitch, very efficient. News release, of course, that you've seen, press releases. We send this when we have announcements. So sometimes we have ministerial announcement because the minister's office, sometimes they will pick and choose. We'll offer a different types of announcement that we could do, and they'll pick and choose the ones they want, and then we'll accompany this with a news release. Impact stories also. So what I was saying, that sometimes we don't necessarily send to the media, but we will write the stories and put them on our website, or we'll share this online. So there's other ways that we can do this. And of course, social media. So I, at CIHR, I'm the media specialist, but I have a colleague, Christine, who is a social media specialist. So her role is really to be out there, to tweet stuff about CIHR, to have surveillance on what people are saying about CIHR. We have a Facebook account, we have an Instagram account, we have some videos that are on YouTube. So we're pretty active. I'm sure you've seen our presence there. So the media today, here's the landscape, and it's changed a lot. I started my radio career as a reporter in 1987. And back at those days, there was a lot of reporters in newsroom. Actually, the radio newsroom where I started, we were 12 reporters. Today, how many reporters still? Two reporters. So newsroom are shrinking all over the place and in all different media. What's happening with that? Well, more repurposing of news. So you have CBC TV, they'll repurpose the news all across Canada. If you talk to the Canadian press, you'll end up in 8 newspapers across Canada. Post Media, same thing. I give an interview to Post Media. Now it's the Ottawa Sun and the Ottawa Citizen. They will publish the story. So yeah, that's a fact that's changed a lot. And the other thing that happens is that you have fewer specialized reporters. Of course, you still have Avis Fabro, you still have Kelly Crow, you still have André Picard, those names that you know pretty well, that you hear and that you read. Of course, these guys are still there. But in most radio station and TV station, you don't have any specialized reporters. So you will give an interview to a reporter lots of time that has no science degree. For instance, myself, I have my biology in secondary 4. That's it. That's what I know about science. But I've been doing comms for 31 years. I know comms. I don't know a lot about science. Well, I know a bit more because I've been working at CIHR with fantastic, intelligent people for the past 11 years. But my point is, when you give an interview to a reporter that doesn't have a clue about science, well, a bit of a red flag here. Be careful. Because make sure they understand. Make sure your language is plain. Make sure you're not talking to a PhD student. You have to talk to the man of the street. In French, we say Monsieur et Madame tout le monde. I think in English, it's the man of the street or the woman of the street, however you want to put this. Okay, the person, blue collar, average. Well, let me be specific here. If you do an interview with the Globe and Mail, it's not the blue collar you're talking to. Globe and Mail readers are more, they have bigger diploma, they have higher degrees, and they make more money compared to the Toronto Sun or the, Vancouver Sun, wherever, okay? This is proven. This is not a judgment, this is proven. So you really need to take into consideration who you are talking to, your audience. But, plain lay language is always the best thing I can give you as an advice. So what do the media need? Well, what they need at the end of the day is background information, especially if you talk to a print reporter. You'll see that your interviews with print reporters will be longer than with radio and TV. Radio and TV, at the end of the day, they want a sound bite. Hey, they want a clip. And when you talk to a radio reporter, and if he's looking, if it's not a live interview, if it's for clips only, so for short sentences, you should respond in 15 to 20 seconds. And researchers say, what, David? 15 to 20? Yeah. What will happen if you respond in 1 minute? Yes, they will edit. So when you respond in 1 minute to a radio or TV reporter, you give all the power of the interview in the hands of the reporter. You say to the reporter, here you go, you pick and choose what you want. No, that's not the way it works. It's your interview. You should decide what are the 15 to 20 seconds you want in this interview. Okay? This is very, very, very important. If you only take this away from this presentation, it's a big thing. Your interview, and don't give him too much so he can choose. It's your interview. You choose the part you want. So, and I know it's hard. I know. And sometimes I have researchers talking to me also and they say, David, I just did an interview for 45 minutes. I was talking to the National Post and they took a sentence big like this. And I say to the researcher, two things. Well, first, it's part of the game. Second, I hope those little words were good. I hope these were good. And the other way to see if you gave a good interview, here's for some of you who have children, you'll relate to what I'm going to say. When we have children, what we do, we repeat, and we repeat. Well, in an interview, my friends, you should repeat, repeat, repeat. Repeat your messages. You should never go into an interview without being prepared. Being prepared like you prepared for when you were doing your exams or doing a presentation or anything, specific to prepare. Same thing for an interview. And the best way to prepare, do your background info, you do all your research, and you prepare three key messages that, and short messages. I'm not saying 3 pages, 3 key messages, okay? Bullet point style, and repeat those messages throughout the interview. This is your interview. 3 positive key messages. Always be equipped with this with any interview you are doing. And this is going to help you a lot. Sometimes I do some training, and I even train politicians. And sometimes they tell me, you know what, David? My reporters in my writing, they have my cell phone. And sometimes they call me during the weekend and we have a chit chat. And I say, MP, you should never do that. Don't do that. This is dangerous. Reporters are not your friends. Reporters have a job to do. And they'll throw you under the bus if it's for their job. Don't do that. And if you just pick up the phone when they call, where's your level of preparation? Where's your strategy there? Be strategic, be intelligent, be prepared. Take time. Make sure you do this, okay? So there's a basic part also before they call that we in comms will help you. So we in comms will ask the name of the reporter, name of the media. We also do some research. Who are they? What's their style? What kind of reporters are they? What's their deadline? And you know what? Deadline are negotiable because they sometimes don't tell us their real story about their deadline. That's why we negotiate this. Sometimes I have some VPs or president saying to me, David, ask the reporter to give me their list of questions. Well, there's no such thing. Reporters don't have a list of questions. They have a line of questioning. And this is what I'm going to ask them to have an idea and to prepare for the questions that they will likely be asking and prepare for questions that he is not or she is not telling me that I think they might be asking. Be prepared. I'm going to repeat this word so many times. Be prepared. Other question we ask, who else is interviewed? I want to know if I book an interview with my president, if an MP has been interviewed, if a stakeholder spokesperson has been interviewed. So I need to know these things. And these are questions that we ask the reporters. If I take the media one by one, so radio, their deadlines, well, it's less important than TV. The thing is, when a radio reporter calls, they want the interview now. important for you to negotiate, to prepare. Negotiate also for open lines and panels. Make sure that that you have all this info. But these are questions that your communication people should be asking for you guys. When you do a radio interview, you have only your voice. Use plain language, analogies, paint images with your words, example, colorful expression, because it's hard with only your voice to make sure that you get your point across. Okay. TV is still the largest audience. People still sit down at night and watch the news, particularly the 55 and over. Again, 10 to 20 seconds, your clips doing an interview in radio and TV. Deadlines, well, for the 6 o'clock newscast, normally it's 4 p.m. And images more powerful than words. Yes, when you do an interview for TV, be prepared to go in your lab and to wear your white coat, because they want you to look like a researcher, which you are. Print, they drive the other media. I said newsroom are shrinking, but the largest newsroom are still the print reporters. Like the largest newsroom is probably the Toronto Star. They have the most, the biggest number of reporters. So it's still a good research tool for reporters. So they produce more stories. That's what I mean. When you talk to a print reporter, they will need background info more. They'll ask a lot of questions. Be careful. Background information is quotable stuff. Every time you talk to a reporter, you're in the presence of a reporter, everything you say can end up front page or in the news, TV cast or radio cast, okay? There's no such thing as off the record. Off the record does not exist. You are on the record all the time. I always said to my students when I was teaching journalism, a radio reporter, the role of a radio reporter is to be the one telling the news. A TV reporter will be showing the news, and a print reporter will explain the news. And when you explain, well, it takes more time, of course. And community, ethnic, specialty medias are very important. They are well read by these community. Internet and social media, well, 84% of Canadians and more are online. It's really the key research tool for reporter. I wish when I started my career that we had that. Let me tell you, we did not. It's a perfect medium for background information. You want to know something about someone, just Google the name, you'll have everything. So that's what we do when we want to have info about a reporter specifically. And I said that at CIHR and in many organizations, everybody's online. Everybody has a presence online. We don't have the choice. We have to follow the parade and be in front of the parade if we can. Some common characteristic about the media, while I have a little sip of water, well, they are deadline driven, of course. And like I talked about the audience, and they are focused on their audience. And you have to be aware of who their audience are. People's story dominate, of course. It all starts with people. And how many people's story did we see since the beginning of the COVID? It's all over the place, okay? And always remember, and this is also important, there's a difference between what the media need and what they want. What they need is a soundbite, is a clip for you. That's their basic fundamental need. What they want, well, it's something spectacular. They want something that, somebody's crying, somebody's, protesting, or somebody's saying something spectacular. That's what they like, because this is what they want to put front page. Your role as a spokesperson, as a researcher, as an expert, is to work on the need of the reporter, not on what they want, on the need. So the other stuff, when they call us, we try to determine the angle. When they call CIHR for, let's say, talk to a VP, what's the angle of the reporter, the name, the deadline. We decide if we do the interview or not. We decide who's the best spokesperson to do this. We try to gather information and also to keep everyone in the loop. When I was teaching to journalism, I was always saying to my students, in your article, you should always respond to those 7 questions. Who what, where, when, why, how much. You, as a spokesperson, be ready for 7 of those questions, those 7 questions. And when you prepare with those questions. So how you communicate your science. So a lot of time, and I've talked a bit about that earlier on. So when a researcher contacts me and presents me his or her work, I always ask the researcher, okay, what's your story? Simple. What's your story? And if it's too long to explain, if it's too complicated, I say, well, we have a problem. I need to understand in the first 30 seconds what your story is. And I need it to be simple. And I know research is not always simple. I know the research is not always catchy. But if I want to make sure media, you know why it needs to be catchy? You know how many news release the Toronto Star receives every day? 3,000. So if my news release is not that interesting or relevant, where will it go? Down the garbage. Yeah. So that's why it needs to be a good story. Okay, but let us help you find if it's a good story. Who's your audience? Okay, who are you? Who do you want to talk to? Choosing the vehicle, that's what we'll decide. What's the best vehicle to promote this? And engage communication expert all the time. With reporters, getting back to reporters, respect their deadline. This is, it's a give and take situation, because if, we have to have, and doing media relations, sometimes, you need to, you cannot always be too firm. You cannot be always too slacky. You really need to have a good relationship with reporters, because if you're too hard or too strict, when the time comes to call a press conference and you need their presence, they're going to say, not interested. So we need to seek balance. We need to develop a great relationship with them. Make sure to understand that your conversation is always recorded. Reporters can only use what you say. Remember, I said it's your interview. This is why it's important. Reporters have the last word. They'll try to put words in your mouth sometimes, but if you stick to your 3 key messages, everything should go well. Sometimes researchers ask me, and maybe we'll have a conversation after that, David, what happens if I'm wrongly quoted? Well, my advice is talk to the comms person that helped you set up this interview. It's our role to get back to the reporter, and we know what we have to do. We'll talk to the reporter. If it doesn't work, we'll talk to the editor. Okay? We have some ways to do this. So don't do this alone in your office. Contact communication. We do this. During the interview, listen carefully to the question and refute and correct when necessary. Always acknowledge the question that you're being asked and keeping in mind your audience, who you're talking to. Prepare in advance your Q&A, so your 3 key messages, and stick to your messages. Don't wander. Talk about things you know. Always remember that. Over the phone, when you're doing an interview, turn off your ring or cell phone. Make sure that you're not disturbed. Find a quiet spot. You can stand or be seated. I prefer doing interviews being standing, but this is a personal choice. If you do a radio interview and you're in your office and reporter is in the radio station, don't use what we call the polygram that polyphone, whatever this is called, that we put in the center of a table. The sound is like this. The sound is very awful. So we really need a good sound. All the iPhones have pretty good high quality. So this is good. If you feel that it's an interview that is maybe sensitive, don't hesitate to record your interview or ask a communication assistant to record your interview. So how are we doing in terms of time? Oh, we're pretty good. So consider the interview as an opportunity to deliver a message. And this is true. An interview is an opportunity. So seize the opportunity, prepare accordingly, and be strong and perform. Doing an interview is perform. And to perform is to deliver your 3 strong, key, positive message. Don't speculate, talk about things you know, think about your audience. Understand also what's the issue, what's the subject, your objective. Make sure you have an objective before doing the interview. What's your target? What do you want to achieve? Making sure you talk, your audience, and also doing research about what's already reported or known. But this communication people could help you. Understanding the likely question, the targeted responses that you'll be preparing. And yeah, this is interesting, using bridging phrases. En français, it's called phrase charnière. Oh, it's so beautiful. So bridging phrases, what is it? What it is, okay, so you're being asked a question that you don't really want to answer. Maybe you could even use this technique with your spouse or your children or your husband or whatever. But so I'm sure you've heard politicians saying something like, this is a very good question. The real issue is, so this is the bridging phrase. The real issue is, and then you deliver your key messages. So these are kind of, short examples. And if you want, when we have our Q&A session, I can give you other examples. This helps you stay focused on your key messages. So key to your success, always remember the 4 Ps. Plan your interview, prepare your interview, practice your interview, ask a colleague or someone close to you to prepare, to shoot you some question, and to make sure that you're on top of your story, and perform. Like I said, an interview is a performance. Don't be stressed. The more prepared you'll be, the better it's going to go. And you know what? It's like anything in life. You'll get experience. You'll do sometimes some mistakes. We all did some mistakes. I did, as a reporter, as a spokesperson, as a professor, as a trainer. But you know what? We live and we learn from those experiences. And don't hesitate. And again, don't hesitate to communicate with communications. These people are there to help you. And let me tell you something. If you try to reach comms in university or hospital and they don't get back to you or they don't want to help you, talk to me. Send me an email. I'll make sure they help you because it's their role. It's their expertise. And we, science people like you and comms people, we can do magical things together. And that's the end of the presentation. I wish we would be all together and I could see your face and your expression. But it's the way it is. So I hope this helped you. Like I said at the beginning, si vous avez des questions, si vous êtes francophone et vous voulez poser votre question en français, ça me fera plaisir d'y répondre. So any questions, any comments, and believe me, there are no bad questions. Don't hesitate. And sometimes you have a question, you think, oh, maybe that. No, maybe other people have the same question. So don't hesitate. And I'm here for you. Let's open the Q&A session.